Parshas Seitzei. This week's Parsha begins by describing Yaakov's leaving Be'er Sheva. Seitzei Yaakov mi Be'er Sheva, and he goes towards Haran. Why is he going to Haran? He's going to Haran to find a wife. And now a few verses that describe one of the famous dream scenes in the Torah. Vayifka b'makom, he reached the place. Which place? Torah doesn't specify, although according to the rabbis, it's the place where his father was put on an altar as an offering, and it's the place of the Beis HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple. So this is a place of kedusha, of sanctity. Now what does he do there? He goes to sleep, and he dreams. Vayachalom. We're now on Chav Ches, Yud Beis, and Yud Gimel, which is chapter 28, verses 12 and 13. Vayachalom. And he dreamt. V'hinei, a word that we'll repeat, we'll listen for it. V'hinei, and behold, Sulam Mutzav Arza, a ladder that is firmly planted in the ground, V'rosho Magia Shamaima, and its head reaches all the way up towards the heavens. V'hinei, again that word, Malachei Elokim, Olim V'yordim Bo, angels of God are going up and going down. Why are they going up first? If they're angels, why aren't they coming down? Next verse, Yud Gimel 13. V'hinei, again, Hashem nitzav alav. God is standing on it, or on him. We'll talk about that. Vayomar, and he said, Ani Hashem Elokei Avraham Avicha, Velokei Yitzchak. I am Hashem, the God of Abraham your father, and of Isaac. Ha'aretz asher ata shochev aleha, lecha etnena ulezarecha. The land on which you are lying on, I will give to you and to your descendants, meaning the land of Israel. Then Hashem goes on to describe how Yaakov's descendants will be spread out, and they will be a source of blessing for the entire world. V'hinei, again, Anochi imach ushmarticha b'chol asher telech, and I am with you. I will watch you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land. I will not abandon you until I do everything that I told you. In others, I won't abandon you. And then Vayikatz Yaakov Mishnaso Vayomer, and Yaakov, this is now Tes Zion, which is 16. Yaakov wakes up and he says, Okay, Yesh Hashem b'makom hazev anochi lo yadati. It turns out that God's in this place and I didn't know. This dream is different than others that are recorded in the Torah. The Medrash points out that there are some dreams that require no interpretation, such as the dream that Avimelech had when he wrongfully took Sarah, who was Avram's wife, and he took her from Sarah, and God appears to Avimelech and says, you better watch out, you better not touch her. Okay, that dream needs no interpretation. Similarly, Lavan had a dream like that, Bilam had a dream like that, where Hashem speaks to them directly, no interpretation needed. What he said is what the message was. Then there are other dreams that require interpretation, and this is what the Medrash says, and they in fact have an interpretation in the Torah. We have, for example, Yosef's dreams about the stars and about the sheaves of wheat, and the response to him is the interpretation. Hamaloch timoch aleinu, imosholtim shalbana. Are you going to rule over us? Or havon avo anivi mecha, am I and your mother going to come? In other words, these are interpretations of the dreams that he had. You have the dreams of the Sar Hamashkim and the Sar Hofim, of the butler and the baker, that Yosef interprets for them. One gets a good interpretation, the other gets a not so good interpretation. You have the dreams of Paro, about the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine, that Yosef has to interpret. So all of those dreams either need no interpretation or they come with an interpretation. This one doesn't have an interpretation. Yaakov knows what it means because he immediately doesn't say, Vayikatz Yaakov Mishnaso v'hinei chalom, and it was a dream, but rather, Vayikatz Yaakov Mishnaso, and Yaakov woke up, Vayomer Achen Yesh Hashem. He already knows there's God, and I didn't know. So he knows what's going on, but we don't know what's going on. What is the message of this ladder? Well, I must confess, there are many, many interpretations, and that is largely because the interpretation is not provided here, so people get to freestyle. I'd like to offer, based on the Meforshim, a reading of this dream. So the Hineis we noted that there are several Hine. Hine Sulam. Hine Malachei Elokim. Hine Hashem Nitzav Alav. So the first one is the ladder. What is the ladder? What's the message of the ladder? So the Meforshim say, or some of them say, that the message of the ladder is that implies a connectedness between the physical world and the spiritual world. But it's not just a connection, but rather it's a connection of ascent, incremental ascent. One goes up a ladder one step at a time. You go too fast up a ladder, you fall. If you don't go up at all, you stay in the same place. And so the point of a ladder is you go up a rung, you go up another rung. Stages of ascent towards the heaven. Well, what does that mean to ascend to the heaven? Well, let's look at the next. Hine Malachei Elokim Olim V'Yodim Bo. There are angels that are going up and coming down. Why are they going up first, as we mentioned? If they're Malachei Elokim, why don't they come down? So some say, give what might be seen as a technical answer, which is that Yaakov is in Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, and he's about to go to Chutz La'aretz, to the land outside of the land of Israel, and he's descending in the level of sanctity from the Holy Land to the rest of the world. And so the angels of the Holy Land were with him. They go up and they get expelled. They get replaced by the reinforcements, by the Chutz La'aretz angels. My Rabbi, Rav Ahron Soloveichik, quotes the Rambam, who says in Mor Nevuchim that a malach is not necessarily an angelic being, but rather it's a messenger or an agent that can come in many forms. Okay, let's hold on to that for a second. So the angels represent, while the sulam, the ladder, represents a connectedness, the angels represent the agents of connection. Well, what are they? So one of the Midrashim says that they look at the Kisei HaKavod, at the holy throne upon which Hashem, Kaviyachal as it were, sits, and the face of Yaakov is engraved on that throne. And they go up, they see Yaakov here, they go up there, constantly checking to see, is there consistency? Is Yaakov living up to his heavenly potential? The image, the absolute image that is engraved in the Kisei HaKavod, is the earthly Yaakov taking care of business? The verse in Tehillim, we say it when we daven Hala, Hashemayim Shemayim Hashem va'aretz nasan livnei Adam. The heavens is the heavens for God, and the land, the earth, he gave to man. My father was fond of saying, he gave it to man to make it like the heavens, to make the land, this world, himmeldik, heaven-like. I learned later from my Rebbe in Keren B'Yavne, who later became the Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Mordechai Greenberg, Shlita, that he said that this is the pshat, the explanation of the Baal Shem Tov. I haven't seen it inside. I heard it from my father. So the goal, according to this, is to take the land and to make it heavenly. How? By doing Ritzon Aboreh, by doing the will of God. And then that's our third Hine. Hine Hashem Nitzav Alav. Behold. Behold means it's a moment of clarity, sometimes a surprise. And dreams usually have a Hine because dreams are usually surprising. God is standing on it, as we mentioned. It, in Hebrew, alav, can refer to the ladder. It can refer to the person, Yaakov. There isn't a distinction between it and him in Hebrew. So how would we read it if it means that he's standing on Yaakov? So the Medrash says that the Avos, our forefathers, the righteous forefathers, were the Merkava, they were the chariot or the vehicle for the Shekhinah, for the divine presence. And this stands as a model for us. So what we have here is Yaakov, as he is about to leave the comfort of his known life. He's leaving the house of his father. He's leaving the land of Israel. He's going into a dicey environment outside of Israel, into a land that can be hostile. He's going to have to navigate. He's going to have to negotiate. He's going to have to deal with people who don't want, whose primary purpose, his primary goal is not to benefit him, but rather to take advantage of him, to see what they can get from him. Hashem is telling him, don't lose your bearings. The sulam, the path, the connectedness, starts firmly implanted in the land. And it goes up to the heavens. And there are malachim, there are agents of change that will come to you regularly. Olim v'yodim, olim v'yodim, olim v'yodim. And it's up to Yaakov, and by extension, it's up to his children. I give you, says God, this land and to your descendants, and we are his descendants. It is up to him to take those malachim, which may be moments of challenge. There may be moments of which our integrity is tested. There may be moments in which our patience is tested, our attributes generally, our midos, and to take them and to use the engraved standard of the face of Yaakov on the Kisei HaKavod, on the throne, and to conform our behavior, or at least to aim to conform our behavior to that of the Himmeldik, the heavenly Yaakov, and by so doing to act as a Merkava, to act as a vehicle for the divine presence in this world. This is the recipe for Jewish success. It's to make this world, Hashemayim, Shemayim, Hashem, V'aretz Sasan Livnei Adam, the heavens belong to God. He gave us the earth, and it is our job to make the earth heavenly. Have a good Shabbos.